What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Illinois recap episode of the Coach and the Couch Potato. As always, I'm Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate coming off of a big dub this week. And we are here, to discuss all things Illinois. A little different format for this one. We're not going to really dive into the stats and stuff. We'll get into kind of what we saw. But before we dive into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Comment on the video, like it, share it, and as we inch closer and closer to that 1,000 YouTube follower threshold, we will be running the Eddie George signed helmet giveaway in conjunction with that milestone. Kind of an ugly, boring game. Buckeyes win 34-16. It was never in doubt. I thought it was interesting, to see the way people are reacting. You go on the road, you beat a ranked team by 18, and that was letting off the gas. And we're upset about it, and you're hearing trestle ball thrown around. What are your thoughts as far as, these almost unrealistic expectations we're starting to see from the fans?
Yeah, man. Listen, first off, if you can talk trestle ball all you want. Jim Tressel won football games, right? And Tressel ball got it done. Was it always pretty? No. Was it flashy? No. But we knew we knew what we were going to get, and it was a physical brand of football. It was sparked by tough defense. It was sparked by, critical plays on offense and key plays on offense when we needed it. Physical offensive line play, and those were the things that got us through to the finish line. I did not think this game was as bad as a lot of the fans may think that it was. I think we jumped out to a 20 to nothing lead.
Yep.
And I think for the first time in this season, we kind of, got complacent, and that's going to happen. Like that's one thing I want our fans to understand. Like, complacency does set in, right? I rather it set in a three score victory, a 18-point victory, than in a loss to an unranked team like some of our future opponents have faced this year. And so, like, that is something that I want our fans to understand. Like, listen, we won the rushing battle, right? Our defense stepped up and did what we had to do. Luke Altmaier is a very good football player.
Yeah.
We said that. We forced him into some very unwanted throws. They had to go to a different game plan and go up tempo to try to do some things to really hurt us. And at the end of the day, we walked off that field with a W. And so, was it pretty? No, it wasn't. But I rather have that type of victory, knowing that we left a lot out on the field and knowing, like, hey, we can still get better from this. And next week, or this coming week, we know, okay, the Buckeyes know what they have to work on. The Buckeyes are going to come out energized and ready to go, knowing that they did not play their best football against a pretty good Illinois team.
Yeah, so you hit on one of the first things I wanted to talk about, where we talked about, we want to dive into just boom what we saw. And Bielema came out after the game and felt like the tempo was to their advantage. Did we see the first sliver of weakness in that Ohio State defense?
Well, I think tempo is a weakness for every good defense. Because it's hard to make the substitutions. It's hard to get in and out of different coverages, different fronts, different movements, stunts, different things that you would want to do, different things that we've seen Coach Patricia be accustomed to doing, right? You've got to be pretty stagnant, right? And you can get locked into one thing, and that is to the offense's advantage. And so that is what they caught us in. I guarantee you moving forward that Coach Patricia is going to have a game plan, because teams are going to now try to do that against us. And so I don't know what that game plan be for tempo, but there will be a few calls that are probably baked in that will be, one signal, a hand signal from the sideline to give a different coverage call, a different movement, blitz, stunt, whatever it is, so that they can have multiple things built into a tempo type series that they're seeing from the offense. And so you did see a little weakness in that, yes, but I don't think they were expecting to get that type of tempo from Illinois. And that was a good adjustment by Illinois. Right, that was a good adjustment. That we're getting dominated by this defense. What can we do? Okay, let's go to tempo. It doesn't allow them to substitute. Where are they kind of weak at on the interior defensive line? We want to tire out their secondary. We want to get Caleb Downs to be stagnant in one spot. Let's just keep going up tempo. So he has to stay back on a hash, and he's not really as effective. And so that was a good adjustment by them. It still only resulted in one score, right?
Yeah.
And so that is one thing that we have to understand. The defense still did what they had to do to go out and win that game.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously this week's opponent, Wisconsin, you're not gonna see tempo. They move slightly quicker than the Buckeyes, but we'll get into that at the end of this episode. It will be very interesting to see also, like you said, that interior defensive tackle spot. You've seen a shift. You have seen Edric Houston essentially become the second guy up to Taiwan Malone. So if you can make those substitutions, now you're building the depth you were worried about. But if you're being attacked with tempo, you can't make the sub. Something to monitor, going forward. We saw IGB kind of start to fall back into some old habits. He definitely got a little handsy. He got away with one or two probably. But as much as I know you have explained before why you don't look for the ball as a defender, looking for the ball bailed him out of at least one of those.
Oh, no doubt about it. And another thing to kind of clear that up, we don't want to look back for the ball until we are in phase with the offensive player, right? And so when we're playing that type of coverage, we're playing man coverage, we don't want to look back for the ball until we are in phase with the receiver. And so that was one of the things that IGB did on that play, and it did kind of bail him out there. Now, one of the things that I know Coach Walt teaches them, and that's one of the things that I've observed at spring practice, and it's one of the things that we teach as well, is to play through the hands. And I think our corners do a really good job of playing through the hands, right? Receivers are so well coached these days of late hands. They're not showing their hands until the last second. And so it's really difficult to play through those hands on a consistent basis because you don't know, hey, where's the ball? And that's where IGB kind of gets himself in trouble, and he can get a little handsy at times. Listen, IGB's he's going to grab, he's going to hold, he's going to do his thing. That's just going to happen. But I'd rather him continue to be a physical corner than have him be passive. I mean, that's just that I'll take that all day, every day. I'd rather him do that because I know eventually he's going to make a play that's going to be a game-changing play for us, i.e. Penn State last year, where he makes that awesome interception in the red zone for us. And so IGB is just going to continue to get better in those type of situations. And, his confidence is through the roof. Obviously, he said at the end of the game, please just stop throwing at me. And now teams are going to start throwing at him more. So.
Yep. Devin Sanchez had a PI call, but you're going to have that, especially as a young guy. But you saw a lot of really good reps out of Devin Sanchez in that game too. Defensively, pretty low-key game. I mean, like I said, the tempo thing I wanted to ask you about, but kind of pivoting to the offense. Very interesting display. I think Hartline did a really good job of taking what the defense gave him, especially early in the game. The numbers leaned toward running the football. And they even made mention of that on the broadcast. They're like, if you look at the box, it's a box to run against. We just didn't run well against said box. I kind of went back and rewatched some of it, and I obviously, the right side of the line had some issues, but I think a lot of the missed run opportunities in this game actually fell on the tight ends.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, people can say what they want about Coach Hartline, Coach Bowen. I've read online, Coach Day needs to take over the play calling again. Listen, I have full confidence in Coach Hartline, Coach Bowen, and what they're going to do with the offense. I think they do what they need to do to win the game, and I will take that all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I think teams are doing things against us right now to eliminate the big play. They're going to force Julian Sand to beat us with their arm, with his arm underneath stuff, and they're going to say we're going to force you to have to execute in the run game consistently, right? And that is one area that we have kind of struggled with. And so I do think our run game is going to continue to develop. You mentioned something about Ryan Day in his press conference before we jumped on here, talking about the running backs that need to step up and be a little bit better. I do think there are some holes that were missed that needed to be seen. And so, listen, I think we just need to continue to take what the defense gives us on a consistent basis. And I would like to see us play with a little tempo. I'm sure we'll get into the time of possession thing here soon, but I would like to see us play with a little tempo, come out, play fast, get the ball out quick, man, because I think when we do that, you saw us against Minnesota, it does open up the run game a little bit more. And so I think that will be a wrinkle that we'll see a little bit moving forward. But nonetheless, I think at the start of the game, we were fine. In the fourth quarter, it kind of fell off a little bit. And I think that's just where that complacency started to sit in.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing with the run game, I'm starting to get a little nervous, I guess you would say. We've talked about it almost every week. In the red zone and in short yardage situations, we know what side we're running to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see.
There's no doubt. I mean, we're going to the left side.
Yeah.
And I would too, Luke's over there.
Right.
And so I get that. I would like to see some more creativity on those short yardage situations and maybe spread us out a little bit too. And like you mentioned with the tight ends, that some of the run game started to fall on the tight ends a little bit. Maybe we could spread them out a little bit and do some more 10 personnel stuff, or even with Max Clare, get some guys out of the box, have a little bit of a lighter box that we run against. Those are some things that I think that we could do that would really help out our run game. Because I do think we have the backs that can be successful. And I do think our offensive line is still very, very good. In the pass pro, I think they're fantastic. Yes. And I do think when we get a rhythm in the run game, we are very, very good. Some of our double teams up front are still fantastic. Sareveld and Luke are just putting people down all the time. Hinsman is playing really well. We saw Josh Padilla is starting to get a lot of reps at right guard, which I love seeing. And, Philip Daniels plays with a mean streak. And so we want to continue to develop that room. We're 6 games into the season. I think our run game is still going to get better, but I think if we spread the ball out and do some different things in the pass game, it will open that up for us.
Yeah, and you hit on Josh Padilla. I can't help but wonder if that's part of the reason we're playing with that side of the line a little bit, is to incorporate some different looks, some creativity. Luke is playing arguably, he might be the best guard in America. The way he's playing. And that's not being a homer. That's not, it is what it is. And people that matter are starting to take notice. So obviously props to him for playing just lights out. Padilla, I'm going to be interested to see. And I do think Nate Roberts is slowly starting to do better in that kind of H-back slash fullback role, and he's going to catch a touchdown out of it
Yeah,
at some point this
he
year.
will. He will.
So that'll be another thing to pay attention to. One thing that really, really jumped out to me on the passing side of the offense. This is the second time this year we have seen Jeremiah Smith actually show emotion.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad yet.
I think it's great. I anytime we see him get fired up, I think it does something for that offense, and I think it sparks something for the coaching staff as well. I think that says, okay, now it's time we got to get forward the ball, right? Because when
Yeah.
he gets going, I think, he is a leader on this team. He's one of the hardest workers, if not the hardest worker on the team. That is something that I love seeing from him, even if it's, pushing and shoving with one of the corners, whatever it is. I love seeing that emotion come out of him. And so, listen, whatever he brings to us as far as the leadership stuff, the emotional stuff, I think it brings out the best in him. And when he's challenged, that corner from Illinois was trying to challenge him. He was barking at him a little bit, and I think it brought out the best of him. When he scored that touchdown, man, he made him look silly. What I don't want to see is him get injured. And when he scorpioned on that play, I was like, okay, let's go sit him down for the rest.
I really hope that Austin Saraveld and Max Clare took him out to dinner that night.
Yeah,
because we don't make it a habit of singling out guys, but on that play, if there's a scenario where you have better get a block laid out, it is when you are blocking for Jeremiah Smith. And we had not one but two guys, just be like, oh, Ole. So that sucked. I mean, there's no other way around it. But you saw him come back in, and that route he ran on that touchdown was beautiful. Julian dropped a dime. I mean, Julian continues to really find his way. And Carnell Tate, basically said today at the press conference, teams are taking it away from us.
Oh,
They learn. Al Golden didn't learn, in the Natty and wanted to play man, but everybody else has realized you can't play man.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna play man, you best have over the top help.
Yeah.
So the big glaring thing that we've discovered this week, and we're not alone in this. This is, obviously it's public and it's out there. You address tempo, and what it opens up. There are 136 Division I football teams. Ohio State is 136th in time between plays. 32.4 seconds. So you're essentially running the clock down to 3 seconds every play. But we both have a thought as to what this is. And I think we share the same sentiment. So what is our thought?
Yeah, man, I think it comes down to load management. I think it comes down to that NFL style of football and slowing things down and understanding the bigger picture, understanding what the end goal is. I think that's what it comes down to. I do think if the Buckeyes wanted to, they could come out in these games and play high tempo and play fast and try to score 70 points a game. I really do. But I think Ryan Day, after last season, really sees the bigger picture, knows the type of team that he has that could go make another national championship run. And he's just going to do what it takes to win games right now. And in the big games, he's going to gear up and do and be ready for those. And then for the team up north game, I'm sure he's going to let it loose this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I think it's about load management. But I will say, as a defensive coach, I will take that all day long. You eat that clock up, man. You use every second of that clock, because then on the sideline, I can formulate all my thoughts. I can think about what the offense is going to do. and we can just sit and talk and have conversation about how we are going to get stops while the offense is just matriculating right down the field. And I love it. So listen, you're not going to see me complain. Buckeye fans might complain about it, but I will never complain about this.
Yeah, ironically, I was going to ask you, do you think it is also a reflection of the faith they have in the defense? That, we don't have to go score 60 points a game. We don't have to go score 40. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what the playoff would bring if Ohio State makes the playoff. But with everybody left on the schedule, 30 is going to be a hard task. 20 might be a hard task. But I'm with you. I want to see tempo when it's needed.
Yeah.
I don't care if we look like Chip Kelly's Oregon team or even Chip Kelly's Ohio State team. Win the game.
Yep.
Come out of the game healthy. And who cares, about the rest of it. So, yeah, that was kind of a cool little microcosm of, the Illinois game without diving into just numbers and stats. But on that front, kind of a breakdown of what you're going to see this week. You are also going to get a recruiting chips episode and a before the battle. The recruiting chips will have a little bit of Penn State discussion at the beginning. And there's not a whole lot of news regarding another program that it sounds like is going to be without a head coach come Sunday. But we will dive into that. So yeah, make sure to like, comment, and share the videos, and we'll see you guys for recruiting chips.